You better turn that off,
All right,
then, Angel.
we are
What?
live. Welcome everybody back to NASCAR Talk. We have finally returned. Sorry for the fact that there has been no NASCAR Talk for the past couple of weeks. Unfortunately,
It's been 3.
has it been 3?
Wait. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually been 3.
Wow.
Yeah, unfortunately, when the summer comes around, the auction that I work for, people like to have outdoor auctions on Saturdays, and usually then they run from like 7 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and by the time I get home, just too tired to put up a stream and all that. So, we're finally back though. And so what we're going to do is, because we ended up missing 3 races as far as recapping, giving opinions. I think we actually did give our opinions for the Coca-Cola 600, but we didn't recap it. So we're going to be quickly recapping Charlotte, Pocono, and Michigan, and then we'll look ahead a little bit later at the upcoming race at Infineon, Sonoma, Sears Point, whatever you want to call it. So what we're going to do to kind of save time is I'm going to go down the list. We're going to start with each race. We're going to start first with the Coca-Cola 600. And what you guys are going to do is you're going to tell me what you would have rated that race out of 10. If you'd rate it 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. And then give your reasoning behind it. We'll start with Charles. We're going to start first with the Coca-Cola 600, or as a lot of people called it, the Martin Truex Jr. 600, as he dominated that race. But in your opinion, Charles, where would you rate this race if you could rate it out of 10?
Okay, so I'm assuming 10 is like super great and 1 is like totally boring. Okay, so I'm gonna give that race like a 4. Chances are, if it wasn't Truex in victory lane, but rather someone like Johnson Harvick, probably would have been more. So the winner of the race probably swayed my opinion quite a bit. But man, talk about a beatdown. But oddly, for such a dominating performance, I actually wasn't really that bored, and I actually kind of appreciated seeing a performance so rare. So am I going to give thoughts on Michigan, Pocono and Michigan, or gonna rotate now?
No, we're gonna rotate to that afterwards. So we'll move to Johnny. Johnny, how would you rate the Charlotte race?
Charlotte? I'd probably say like anywhere between 8 and an 8.5 out of 10. Because, as I'm going to have to quote Danica here, she was like to her crew chief after the race, she was like, did Martin Truex lead up most all the race? And Billy was like, almost all of it. And I was like, kind of stunned here because...
And the statistics is in.
I finish? Because I was stunned here with Truex dominating that. He led 588 miles of the race. Previous record was Jimmy Johnson's, I believe, 2004, leading 334 at 400. So kind of surprised to see that.
All right, let's move over to JT. JT, out of 10, what would you rate us? We have Steven joined, so I'll explain to Steven what we're doing when we get to him. But JT, your thoughts on Charlotte?
Considering how the Coca-Cola 600 or the Martin Truex Jr. Show 600, as some people call it, the fact that there was history made and there was a rare performance, I give it around a 6 to an 8 out of 10.
Alrighty. Angel.
Well, it was 5 out of 10. In my opinion, it was 5 out of 10. It had its moments actually, because Martin Truex Jr. made history. He only missed out on leading 12 laps, which is pretty impressive. The only reason I rated it 5 out of 10 is because it was actually getting kind of boring. I really actually wanted to see some action, like just see Jimmy Johnson and Kevin Harvick actually contend for the win.
All right, Daniel.
I would definitely give it a 6. And no disrespect to Martin Truex Jr., because he definitely deserved that win, because he's really came close to winning some races. But when he had a chance to win the race. Bad luck always strikes. So so it's definitely a 6. I just wish the racing could have been a lot better. As Angel mentioned, it was kind of boring, which I would definitely agree. It was definitely kind of boring because of seeing less yellows and more green flag racing.
All right, so we'll move to Steven. Steven, what we're doing is we are recapping Charlotte, Pocono, Michigan. We're going in order. We're starting with Charlotte. If you were to rate the Coca-Cola 600 on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give it?
Give it a 1. It was one of the. I mean, honestly, it was one of the worst races of the year. I mean, the only cautions were a couple of debris, Brian Scott spun, and Jeffrey Earnhardt rode the wall. I mean, Truex dominated. I know it was history, but it looked like a race out of the 60s. I think the only impressive thing that happened in that race was Kevin Harvick, remember this, under green, made up 10 seconds, and before the caution came out, he almost passed Truex. 10 seconds. That's unbelievable. And just to think about it, 20th was 4 laps down at the end of that race. Not much excitement going on there.
I'm going to kind of almost agree with you, although I'm going to give the race a 4 out of 10, basically because I love the fact that Truex won, but I think when you come to the longest race of the season, the last thing you want to see is a driver dominate the entire race. With it being a long race, being the longest race of the season, you're wanting to see more mixing it up, passes for the lead, different leaders. If Truex had ended up being the end result of winning, that would have been perfectly fine with me in that, but I would have liked to have seen a lot more battling for the lead go on. The fact that it ran as long as it did with green flag runs, and then we ended up having such an unbelievable race with underdogs being able to get up to the front of the field due to caution flags coming out the week before with the All-Star race. It just kind of seemed like the Coke 600 wasn't exactly the best follow-up to that All-Star race. Like I said, I mean, we've had races like back in 2007. It ended up finishing on fuel strategy. We've had it with late green-white checkered finishes, but this one, it just seems so anticlimactic, and it seemed like everybody figured out with about 25 to go, okay, Truex has not let anybody really get to him. They're not going to let him get to him now. He's going to dominate and win this race. So, as I liked the winner of the race, I didn't really care for the fact that being as long a race as it was, there wasn't nearly as much action as we would normally hope for at a track like that.
Well, if I get that Paul Menard led 2 laps, and I think what I was reading on Twitter that when Truex pitted early that one time, he was 1 lap away from blowing a tire, so they actually saved themselves.
Yeah.
Wow, 1 lap away from blowing a tire.
That's what I read. That's what the True Crew Chief put on Twitter, like the day after the race.
Wow.
Honestly, like the most exciting thing about that race, in my opinion, was actually before the last caution came out because Johnson and Harvick were actually catching car trips in there. And Johnson got as close to like a car length. Harvick was coming, and who knows if the last caution never came out and we just went green the rest of the way. Who knows? We might have seen a new face in victory lane.
Yeah, very good point.
Yep.
All right, so let's jump over then to Pocono Raceway, the Tricky Triangle, and this ended up being a race that did end up coming down to fuel strategy, and Kurt Busch ended up taking the checkered flag there. All right, so let's go back down from left to right. Charles, if you were to rate this one 1 out of 10, what would you rate it?
I would give it a 6. Definitely, one thing I had noticed is that ever since Pocono got repaid a couple years ago, and they shortened the race from 500 miles to 400 miles, the races had been much more attrition filled, and that had quite a bit of attrition. I think if there were like 10 cautions in the race or something, and for a moment we just kept getting like caution after caution after caution, and it was a little bit annoying as a viewer, but that sometimes happens and you can't do anything about it. Certainly, like the talk of fuel mileage and everyone having the same fuel, that certainly intense the ending, even though like no one except Jamie McMurray, who was like mid-pack running out of fuel on the mile lap, it still made things interesting. But like one thing that was kind of confusing was that like there were some people that were talking about like how great a race that was, and honestly, like when I heard that, it just kind of felt like, am I in the minority or whatever? Next person.
All right, Johnny, go ahead.
Well, for Pocono being a home track, to both of us, since we're both technically from New York
Mm-hmm.
here. And plus it was being moved due to the rain on Sunday over to Monday, and plus of the fact that the past experience that I like with Pocono, this was like dismal a little bit to me on my end. I'd probably give it like a 5 out of 10 here. Even though there was some of the rookies up front, though, for quite a bit. Like, Chase Elliott led quite a bit there, but, you know, we knew that Kurt Busch's day was going to come to victory lane, though, and sure enough, Pocono was the day. Really had to save lots and lots of fuel for that final lap. I was wondering when he would run out, though, but luckily it didn't happen.
All right, JT, your thoughts on Pocono?
Well, considering the fuel mileage once again came into play, I'd give it around a 4 to a 6.
Alrighty. Oh, sorry, did I cut you off?
Go on.
Okay. Angel. Go ahead.
He's muted.
Okay, I guess he's not there. All right, so let's move to Daniel.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll come back to you, Daniel. Go ahead, Angel.
Well, I gave it a 7 out of 10, mainly because of, it all came down to fuel strategy, obviously. It was a pretty good race, to be honest, but the only thing I didn't like about the race is that I had school that day, so I didn't get to see the finish or how it began. So I'm upset. About that.
Okay, Daniel.
I would give it a 6. And another thing we didn't mention is Kurt Busch won the race without his crew chief, who was suspended for the Pocono race because of the infractions after the Coke 600. So that was one of the things that came an element. But, like you guys mentioned, ever since the repave in 2012 for Pocono Raceway, we've seen a lot of attrition in that race, and definitely the race was proved to be no exception. So definitely Kurt Busch, in my opinion, deserved to go to victory lane at the end of that day.
Okay, Steven.
Well, I'll give it I give it a 9 out of 10. I thought the race was good. I mean, it was a wreck fest, the mid part of it, but it was a good race. I mean, just to see the underdogs, it was a good story. Ty Dillon led a few laps. Mears was up there. Jeb Burton was in the top 5 for a few laps. It was a good race. It came down to fuel mileage. Newman was pretty hilarious. And seeing the end, I mean, Chase Elliott leading his first race, not his first race, but first, attempt. I mean, he lost Junior up the hill in 3 and allowing Kurt Busch to pull away. But besides that, it was great. And I think the best part of the race was the 55 and the 98. It's kind of a lowest story. They swapped drivers to switch points, but the 98 finished ahead of the 55, so that plan immediately backfired.
Well, I'm going to actually go right with your rating, Steven, and say 9 out of 10 as well. I think that, when you head into Pocono, more often than not, you're expecting the cars are going to spread out. You're expecting that near the end, fuel is going to be a bit of an issue. And so I was kind of expecting to settle in for a bit of a boring race, a lot of the typical Pocono races that you see. This one, to me, seemed to have a lot more action, seemed to have a lot more passing for position, whether it was for the lead in the top 5, in the top 10. There seemed to be a lot of good battling. A lot of the caution flags that came out weren't necessarily big multi-car wrecks. They were usually single-car incidents and stuff like that. So it ended up setting us up for a lot of restarts, which, of course, with that straightaway, it's great to see them go 4 and 5 wide, see what happens when they get into turn 1. So that made it, added some excitement into it. And I agree with you, too, with the fact that you had some drivers that rolled the dice and ended up going with fuel only on that one pit stop. And I love the fact that Casey Mears, with him doing that strategy, he ended up screwing over Johnson's race, but that's a side note. But the thing that let me down, the reason why this race to me would not get a 10 out of 10 is the fact that even though it did come down to fuel at the end, it wasn't really down to fuel. To Charles' point, only car that ran out of fuel was Jamie McMurray. But the fact that they've got this thing in the fuel cell where they've got that little bit still for reserve in case they need it. I mean, Kurt Busch was able to make it around another lap and do burnouts besides and get to victory lane still on that tank of fuel. So it wasn't nearly as close on fuel as the commentators were really making it out to be. And so that was a bit of a letdown because, when it gets to these fuel strategy races, you're thinking, oh, who's gonna run out? Is there gonna be a chance that an underdog can come out and have enough fuel to make it to the end? That didn't happen. It was pretty much just a runaway by Kurt Busch. And to be honest, too, they were saying that Dale Earnhardt Jr. was good to go on fuel. Kurt Busch was not, and yet the gap between the 41 and the 88 in the last 10 laps never seemed to close up. So if Kurt Busch was saving, Jr. was not, why was that gap not closing up? So to me, I was pleased for Kurt Busch, obviously, to win the race. I mean, the guy obviously deserved it. But the finish, I think, was a little bit anticlimactic. It didn't build up to what they were kind of hinting was going to be what we've seen with it being really, really close on fuel. It just wasn't there.
Well, one last thing for Pocono, if we could talk about, is what happened with Keselowski calling out Gordon after the race.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that whole thing with that pit road infraction, the tire changer pushing in the side of the car, and then, Gordon saying something, and Keselowski calling Gordon out. Now, we know that Gordon and Keselowski, they're not exactly friends either, so...
Remember what happened back in Texas.
Exactly.
I think Keselowski's comments was pretty hilarious, saying that people in the booth should not have knowledge of the sport or have investment in the sport. I think that was kind of an idiotic comment.
Yeah. I mean, Keselowski's got 3 more championships to win before he gets to Jeff Gordon's status.
Oh, and by the way, he's one to talk, especially considering that he's, I don't know, been in the booth for a few Xfinity races.
Well,
yeah, that's true.
He doesn't have any investment in the Xfinity Series, that's why. He did pull
right.
that.
I mean, I'll be the first one to admit, I would love to see Brad Keselowski, when he retires, I would love to see him get a job in the commentaries booth because I've watched a number of the Xfinity races, and out of all the Sprint Cup drivers they've had up there in the booth as guests during an Xfinity race, Brad Keselowski, to me, seems to be the most fluent, the most knowledgeable one out of all of them. So, Keselowski's got it as far as commentary skills and everything, but, I mean, you call out a guy in the commentaries booth that's a 4-time champion. He's raced his most recent season was last year. It's not like he's a Ned Jarrett or a Darrell Waltrip that's not been in the car for a while.
How do we get Tony Stewart in the booth? That'd be great.
Oh my goodness, if we get Tony Stewart in the booth, they're gonna have to rate the races M for mature.
Yeah.
And we'll get to Tony Stewart and his antics at Sonoma momentarily. But anyway, let's move on to the next race, which was Michigan, the Firekeepers Casino 400. And, of course, the race winner there, Joey Logano. So we ended up having Truex get his first win of the season at Charlotte. We get Kurt Busch getting his first win of the season at Pocono. We get Joey Logano following it up with, amazingly enough, this late in the season, his first win of the season at Michigan. Charles, rating it 1 to 10, what did you think of the Michigan race?
Rated it 1 to 10. Okay, so I was actually, I guess, looking back on it now, I think I probably did set my expectations for Michigan maybe a little too high, because I expected with the even lower downforce package, as I like to call it, at the racing at Michigan was going to be like the best racing at Michigan in years, and I'm not going to say it was bad, but it just wasn't what I hoped for. But honestly, I don't really think it really was a package problem, but rather a service problem because because I'm sure some of you have probably heard this before, drivers talking about how the racing is typically better when the service is old and abrasive. And a good example of that is look at Michigan and Fontana. They're very similar racetracks, but yet the racing at Fontana is kick-ass and Michigan is just duds. I think a lot of that has to do with the service. Fontana has the old abrasive service. Michigan has the new fresher service. It got repaved in 2012. And so I really think that if Michigan never got repaved, we would have seen the race that I expected it to be, which was close most of the time, and passing was abundant. But we didn't see that. But also, it's important to recognize that Logano just simply that 22 team just simply came to Michigan better prepared than pretty much everyone else, and they obviously showed it because no one except for Chase Elliott was really able to match his lap times, and Chase Elliott had to go into field conservation mode, which pretty much kept him from tracking down Logano.
All right, Johnny.
That Michigan race was okay to me. So, with a lot of expectations on my end, though, with the new downforce package that they were playing with the lower spoiler and splitter, it was okay. Sure made competition go crazy for sure. But with Logano snagging his first one of the season, that was okay. Despite the fact that wait, I'm trying to think. Has Logano won in Michigan before?
Yes.
Yeah, he had.
Yeah, I was trying to make sure there. Trying to make sure I knew Logano, but Brad hasn't yet.
No.
Okay, Dave.
Michigan's Brad's home track, if I remember correctly.
No, Brad hasn't won his own track yet.
In the Cup Series.
That's exactly what I'm trying to get to, yes.
His time will come.
Mm-hmm.
His time will come, yes. I say August.
All right, JT.
Well, considering the fact that Logano won, I'd say the new downforce package. I say this new downforce package. Lower expectations or anything, but considering how abrasive the track was, yeah.
All right, move to Angel.
Yeah. Well, Michigan was pretty anticlimactic, even for my standards. I mean, Chase Elliott maybe had that race in the bag if it wasn't for his. Well, I wouldn't know because I didn't see the finish, so. I rated Groundhog out of 10.
Oh, yes.
Oh no.
All right, Daniel.
Oh, that was the best one ever. Anyway,
That was the best.
Anyway, I would definitely rate that one like a 6. I mean, yes, Logano won, got his first one of the season, but we didn't see a whole lot of action. Didn't see fuel mileage race. I thought the racing was somewhat okay, somewhat disappointing. So that's why I would rate it.
All right, Steven.
Well, no, I give it a 1 out of 10 because you're wrecked. No, I'm kidding. Oh, but seriously.
God.
I like the downforce pack. It's good. I like the move, but they were going really fast. 220 into the corner and unrestricted. That's kind of crazy. You think about this time and age. But it was a good race. It was a lot of racks, more than I expect from Michigan, just like Pocono. But it's good. We're having more of the competition. It was good side by side. Chase Elliott kind of screwed up the field. His restarts were absolutely terrible, and that would help Logano pull away. But besides that, it was a decent race. I like to see a different winner, but good win to Logano. It was finally a decent Michigan race on fuel mileage.
Yeah, he has that Jeff Gordon curse. I'm gonna have to say. He's good on long runs, but he sucks at restarts.
Oh God.
Yeah, I'm gonna rate the Michigan race 5 out of 10, basically because with it being the kind of racetrack it is, and you guys could be right with the fact that it's a rougher surface, it's an older racetrack, but with what we saw at Las Vegas, what we saw at Auto Club, I was looking at this race thinking, wow, this is going to be a great race with the low downforce package. You're going to be able to see them run in the bottom, middle, the top. There's going to be a lot more passing that goes on, and there was some good racing that went on, but the big thing was you either had Chase Elliott get out to a lead or Joey Logano get out to the lead. There really wasn't a whole lot of swapping for the lead that went on. Keep in mind, too, that this was Joey Logano's first time making it into round 3 as the fastest car in the first 2 rounds of qualifying and actually getting the pole. He had done it at Charlotte, he had done it at Pocono, but 2 people had taken the pole position away from him in the final round. This time he closed the deal, he got the pole. And, the fact that Chase Elliott was his main source of competition, we had some drivers that are good at Michigan up there in the top 5 for the finish, Larson, Kozlowski, and Harvick, but they really didn't make a whole lot of noise of getting up there and battling with the top 2, Logano and Chase Elliott. So that was a bit of a downer. I love the fact, though, that we're now starting to see, if the summer sets in, we're starting to see Tony Stewart in the 14 car starting to get his mojo back, getting a 7th place finish. I think that's his best finish of the season, so great to see that. But
Yeah.
to me, the race was, I guess maybe I set my expectations a little too high for it based off what we had seen at other tracks like this previously this season. So it was a bit of a downer for me, but certainly glad to see Joey Logano get in, and I'm loving to see this trend of drivers that we know can get to victory lane finally getting to victory lane and solidifying themselves a spot in the chase.
Tony's still not going to make the chase.
Oh, and we got Michael with us, and Michael's here just in time.
You didn't notice he was in this call?
I was looking at jski.com. So my Google Hangouts page was covered with
Fuck. I died.
He never expects me to be in here because I'm never awake at this time.
That's right. I'm always expecting you to be dreaming of North Korea.
What?
Oh,
What?
I forgot.
Whatever.
Okay.
Literally the best.
Ow!
This is literally the best. Take this.
Let's move on to a race that I am really looking forward to. Tomorrow we're having our first road course race at Sonoma. And
This is also Fox's last race. Guys.
And very
For the
surprising.
season.
And very surprisingly, it's Dale Jr. one to the top of the board.
yeah, we're going to cover that in just a moment. So qualifying for Sonoma going to be taking place today at 2:15, and then the race tomorrow at 3 o'clock on FS1. But how about some of these lap times we've seen in practice? Practice 1, it was Kyle Larson, the fastest car, with Jamie McMurray, his teammate, in second. In practice 2, Dale Jr. tops happy hour practice, Casey Mears second. We didn't see AJ Allmendinger top of the leaderboard. We didn't see Kyle Busch top of the leaderboard. You know, the guys that we normally expect to see having, you know, the fast laps here. Is this a sign of what we're going to see with qualifying this afternoon, or are these drivers that we would expect to be up there battling for the pole? Is this when they're going to suddenly start emerging and we're going to start to see them lay down fast lap times for a good starting spot?
I don't know.
It could be very interesting, you know, with the times we're seeing yesterday in practice.
Yeah, maybe we could see a surprise.
Also, we have 2 new debutees running this weekend.
That's true.
Possible to
Yeah, it
possible.
depends on if they qualify. Yeah.
Yeah, possible.
Sadly, only one driver will not get the race tomorrow, which is very sad.
Yep.
If you're gonna ask who they're gonna be, it's Dylan Lupton, who is one of NASCAR Next. He's running the 93, and
And the son of Rick Ware, Cody Ware.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank
I
you.
mean, you know, there's Josh Wise, Cole Witt. I don't know. Maybe they can beat him.
Cody Ware was the slowest non-chartered team to go practices.
Yes, that is true. So we'll have to see. I was actually quite surprised that more of the quotes underfunded teams actually didn't bring in road course ringers. The only other one that's there in the entry list is the 32 car. Of
Patrick
course.
Carpentier.
Yeah, with Patrick Carpentier. I'm surprised we didn't see some team extend an invitation to Boris Said, maybe to Ron Fellows. Kind of surprised me.
Boris,
You know,
well, Boris did say that it would be that this season.
or Max Pappas. Can't forget Max Pappas.
Well, Ron Fellows has not been in an NASCAR race in a couple years, I believe. Boris said is going to not be in his first snow race since 1999.
when was the last time Ron Fellows was even in? Was it an Xfinity
think
race
it
at Montreal?
I think it
No,
was.
it wasn't.
Probably Montreal in 2014
No,
for Xfinity Series.
Yeah, for JR Motorsports.
Yeah.
No, I think it was 2013 Mid-Ohio driving for Junior Motorsports 5-car.
3 in 2014.
It was, yeah.
I don't remember tuning into the Mid-Ohio race, so I don't remember that. I thought he also raced one at Canadian Tire. I thought he was in a
Speaking of
car.
that,
I think he did.
Is there
I
an-
think he did, but I'm not sure.
Is there an
I don't
Xfinity
know.
race?
No Xfinity race. The racing Gateway in the Truck Series
2013 at
tonight.
Sonoma, I think Ron Fellows was the last time he raced.
The way Brooks practice.
No. He
In
last
Cup.
ran Watkins Glen in Cup.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
Elijah's just telling me.
Yeah, Rico murdered his truck in practice.
Uh-oh.
He's gonna have to go to a backup.
And he destroyed the truck like it's.
He's gonna have to go to a backup pickup truck.
I feel like
Oh God.
Damn.
no, it was 2013 was Fellows' last start.
In Cup.
2013. And where was that at?
That was at Watkins going to 33 for good old Joe Flock.
Oh, yeah.
You
I
remember when-
that now.
You guys remember when Penske signed Montoya to drive the 12 car?
Yeah, for a
Yep.
few races and
Ran the
game.
JR at middle.
In 2014.
Yeah, he ran for a few. Yeah, he ran for a few races.
On the 2011 Road America race.
Wait, where did he run that 12 car? I know one of them was at Indianapolis, but what was the first one?
Michigan. It was Michigan.
Michigan June.
Oh.
Alright, so here's the question I wanted to ask you guys. Charlotte, we ended up having Martin Truex Jr. go to victory lane. Pocono, we had Kurt Busch. Michigan, we had Joey Logano. 3 drivers who, up until that point, had not been to victory lane yet. Sonoma, we've got a number of drivers that are former winners at this racetrack that already have a win this season. But does Sonoma become the 4th straight racetrack where a driver that has not won this season goes to victory lane and gets themselves a locked up spot in the chase for the championship?
There are
Yes.
a handful of
I
drivers.
think it would be a surprise.
Yes.
There are a handful of drivers.
That's
that
why I only answered yes.
There are
I
a
think-
handful of drivers that haven't won yet this season that I think can definitely win at Sonoma. Just to name a few: DL Jr., Jason Elliott, Kyle Larson. Watch out for Allmendinger on the road courses.
My prediction to win is the Jackrabbit on Kyle Busch's car.
Oh, rest in peace, Jack Rabbit.
Rest in pepperoni, Jack Rabbit.
Well, besides last year, there's been 10 since 2005. There's been 10 different winners at Sonoma besides Kyle Busch winning twice. So it definitely could. There's been a lot of upsets. I mean, 9, Johnson won at 10. So it's anybody can win this race pretty much.
Yeah, the 3 drivers that I'm seeing right now, well, no, actually, let's make it 4 drivers that were really consistent in their speeds in both the first practice and the second practice were Dale Jr., Casey Mears, Jay McMurray, and Kyle Larson. It actually shocks me that Kyle Larson is up there at the top in speeds. When you look at him with such a high-line driver, whether you're at Michigan Auto Club, he doesn't really strike me as a road course driver, and yet all of a sudden you see him up there in the top 5 in speeds. You see him top of the leaderboard in practice 1. It doesn't strike me with him having that much knowledge of road course racing, but there it is.
Well, Steph,
Hell,
the reason why I'm about to. Well, the reason why he could have this much knowledge, maybe he got this knowledge from Rick.
Who?
Rick Mears, his father.
Oh. Well, if you think about it, you can dirt track the corners. I mean, it's possible.
Yeah, well, we saw what happened to Ryan Blaney and Kyle Busch when they tried doing that.
Jackrabbit got away.
That sucks for them.
Another guy I think I want to see maybe with Harvick. He's never won. I don't think he won in Sonoma, so I kind of want to see him pull it off finally.
Yeah, of course we know his road course luck last year, Watkins Glen.
Yeah. Also,
Ran out of fuel on the last lap, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
and also Dale Jr.'s never won a road course race in the Cup Series, so maybe he can finally pull it off this week.
Historically,
Yeah.
Earnhardt's haven't done well at road courses. Only
And the
time Earnhardt won a road
Oh.
course.
And the
Well,
interesting
speaking-
thing for me is it seems
Oh.
like the favorite coming into this race, as far as like the underdog story, would be obviously AJ Allmendinger, and yet he in the 2 practice sessions, he was 19th and 15th. So we didn't
Maybe
really...
he's planning a strategy.
Could be. Could very well be.
His strategy is to suck at the beginning of like the race weekend and then dominate it.
Well, here's the thing, and I'm pretty sure this applies as well in legit NASCAR as it does in NR 2003 online racing. For me, a lot of times when I'm racing in practice, I'm usually not at the top of the leaderboard. I'm usually 8th, 9th, 10th. But what I basically do is I concede a fast race car for a good handling race car. And maybe that's what's going on with AJ Allmendinger. He's got a race car that's handling better for him in the turns and everything, but it's not producing the speed for him. He's not pushing it as much. Maybe that's what's going on with AJ, is he's just trying to find a setup that he's able to work with, so that way when it comes race time, he's able to pass race cars rather than have a fast race car get up towards the front of the field and then have a race car that's ill handling and have to struggle with it, even though he's got the track position.
That's why. Right.
And speaking of Earnhardt's, I have Jeffrey Earnhardt has his retro paint scheme for Darlington.
Yep.
Honoring Dale.
That Wrangler-looking scheme, that's actually a really cool scheme, too.
It has the same font.
But yet,
It has the same font.
So many people are getting all upset because he's doing that because he's not going to be a competitive car.
Oh, for Pete's sake, people were having a fit that Austin Dillon came back in the 3.
People were having a fit that Josh Wise didn't make the race last year in the 32 when he was running that famous Tide replica paint scheme last year at Darlington.
Yeah, that sucked.
Oh, many people threw a fit when 3M decided to not give Jeff Gordon a throwback paint scheme for Darlington last year.
Yeah.
Everyone threw a fit when Exalta didn't want to sponsor him at Darlington, so he would run that Rainbow Warrior paint scheme again.
So, also, the guys, Michael McDowell and Patrick Carpentier, they could be really strong this week.
Yeah, McDowell, definitely. If I remember correctly, McDowell actually ran pretty well at Watkins Glen last year. I might be wrong, but I'll look that up.
I think he... No, wait. Didn't he win a race at Road America for JGR one time?
He's come close.
He's come close.
He won the race.
He did. Oh no, go on.
Well, pretty much, he had an electric problem one year, and then he basically choked. He basically was leading, self-spun into the grass, and finished 12th.
Wasn't he running the 18 car in the Xfinity Series one time?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, that crazy 2011 Road America race. We had like 3 red checkers and a whole bunch of crazy stuff happened.
All 3 green-white checkers used up. Caution came out. Reed Sorensen got the win.
The 18 Xfinity. Sam Hornish hasn't ran since Homestead last year. He just jumped in the car and won. That's pretty impressive.
That really is.
Impressive.
Especially when you consider the kind of a racetrack it was at.
I mean, the Xfinity is not the highest level series, but to come in a competitive level and win after just being out of the car for almost 7 months, it shows how good the 18 car really is.
Oh yeah, I remember. It was this one race at I think it was Road America.
Yeah, it's what. Yeah, he
It
basically.
was Road America. It was Michael McDowell and AJ Allmendinger fighting for the lead at that point.
We run into a fundamental problem here.
Yeah, Penske literally. The 22 literally swept the road courses.
Yeah, that was one. What I'm talking about is he was leading like at regulation. The caution came out. He drove it into turn 5, went in the grass, spun, and finished 12th from the lead.
Yeah, that sucks.
Hey, and Ron Fellows should have won that race too, not Reed Sorensen.
Well, thing is, Ron Fellows did not maintain caution speed when the caution came out, which is why it went to Reed Sorensen.
Yeah, should have maintained caution speed.
Still, Ron Fellows should have won.
Didn't Ron Fellows already have a win?
I think so. I think so.
Well,
if I remember correctly.
Then he also won in 2008 Montreal, which should have been won by Ambrose, but he spent twice.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I forgot. You know who else hasn't made a race before, but isn't invited right now? Jack Villeneuve.
Jock Villeneuve.
That guy. That guy.
Jacques Villeneuve is
Never
Jock
suffering today.
Villeneuve.
in the Cup Series for Bill Davis.
Alright, I'm looking right now, and let's see, McDowell finished 34th last season, but I just noticed Kyle Larson finished 15th last year.
But you also
I was about to bring up that note. Oh yeah, you might want to take this note. Lightning Castle. Yeah, Lightning Castle.
of course,
Yeah. Landing Castle.
Snap to the future.
maybe Josh Wise is going to win this race.
I think that Jackrabbit's gonna win this race. I think that Jackrabbit's gonna win this race.
Jackrabbit Bush.
The Jackrabbit's going to still be on the front of Kyle Busch, and if Kyle Busch wins, the Jackrabbit crosses ahead of the car, so he wins.
And Julia is going to sue Kyle Busch.
Yeah.
Jackrabbit Incorporated.
I bet you that Jackrabbit's gonna sue Joe Gibbs, though.
Turbo the movie, we have Jackrabbit the movie featuring Kyle Busch.
No, they should have.
Based on the video game, based on real events.
Remember when Hendrick Motorsports was sponsored by all those different Looney Tune characters and everything? They should do that for Joe Gibbs Racing and have Bugs Bunny on the front of Kyle Busch's car.
Oh.
Stop! Stop!
I say yes.
Ha 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 ha! Very funny. Oh, I forgot about that. So what about Eric Almirola's throwback scheme?
That was
honoring the was it the year Richard Petty won the Daytona 5? What was that year?
It was 79.
Oh yeah, that one.
So I heard next week that Kentucky might be an Indy 08 all over again because they what happened was they didn't repave the track with new surface.
Fuck.
Oh God, Elijah.
Jesus Christ.
Paved with like older surface, not new surface. It's a one track quickly.
I didn't hear this. All I heard was basically, they were just having a regular.
My call is lagging.
Kentucky might show next week.
Oh yeah, what about that AJ Allmendinger throwback car? What about that?
Bruh.
You like it?
Yeah, it's lit.
So next week in Kentucky.
Anywho, about that.
Anywho.
About
So let's head back to Sonoma. It's time for us to give you guys our expert picks. We may be a little out of practice because it's been about 3 weeks since we've done it. But anyway, we're gonna give you our best opinions to try and help put together your fantasy team for this week. We'll give you a driver that we think is gonna win the race, driver that we think we should stay away from, and then of course a dark horse driver that you might not expect could be up there. Might be able to pull off a surprise win or at least get you a solid top 5, top 10 finish. So, Charles, who have you got lined up?
Okay, so favorite to win. I'm going to go with a driver that you'll rarely see on as someone who is my favorite to win, but when we come to Sonoma, you definitely should keep your eye out for Jamie McMurray. He's never won Sonoma, but he has a good track record here. A couple of top 5s and top 10s, including a pole here. And I do remember a couple of races where he would have gotten good finishes if it weren't for some misfortune. So McMurray is my favorite to win. He will win. He will get his first win in almost 3 years, and a dark horse pick. I'm going to go. This driver might be a little bit of a surprise. Casey Mears. I'm going with Casey Mears. I think Casey Mears is actually a pretty underrated road course racer, if you ask me. And a good example of that is last year. Last year in the Sonoma race, he qualified. He made the final round and was inside the top 10 for a good chunk of the day. If his whole wheel did not come off late in the race last year, he could have gotten a good finish. So Casey Mears is my dark horse pick. Driver to stay away from. I was going to go with Dale Earnhardt Jr., but the more I thought about it, Matt Kenseth is actually the driver to stay away from. Not only because he's had a lot of bad luck this season, but he's made 16 starts at Sonoma, only one top 10 finish. Drivers like Morgan Shepherd and Michael Waltrip have a better overall average finish than Matt Kenseth.
To be fair, though, there was this one time in this race where he actually got taken out by Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the late stages of the race.
Well, okay, next person.
All right, Johnny.
Johnny? Gardner?
Okay, I guess Gardner's not there. All right, so we'll move on to JT. JT, your main pick, stay away from pick, dark horse pick.
I'm gonna twist it around a bit. Driver to stay away from? I'm gonna go with Charles and say Matt Kenseth. Based on the stats, had terrible luck at Sonoma. Dark horse pick, I'd say either Mears or McDowell. And considering that in my pick to win, I'm road course ringer, it would be Dinger, but overall, but if he doesn't, I'm gonna go. Should Earnhardt stay consistent? I think he will become. I think there will be a gap from 1995 to 2016. Dale Earnhardt Jr. gets it at Sonoma.
1995.
Bold pick.
All right, let's move on to Angel.
Well, my dark horse pick, sadly, I'm going to have to go with Matt Kenseth. He is my favorite driver and all, but, with all the terrible luck that he's had at Sonoma, it's not really fair to go with Matt Kenseth as an obvious pick to win. My dark horse pick has to be Kyle Busch. You haven't seen Kyle Busch in the face of things at Sonoma since Johnny wants to call. You haven't seen Kyle Busch dominate Sonoma at all in these past years. The last time he won was last year, and he came back. Everyone thought that he wouldn't win because of his broken leg. He came back and he won that race after finishing 43rd at Michigan as well. And my pick to win, it would be the Jackrabbit. No, I'm just kidding. I would either go with the road course ringer, AJ Allmendinger, or I'm going to go on a whim, Carl Edwards. We haven't talked about Carl Edwards since he won 2 races at Bristol and Richmond. We haven't really talked about him that much, and he's won 2 races, I think, at Sonoma back in 2014, and then there was another year I think that he won there. I can't recall.
Got a chance as long as he doesn't get dumped by Truex.
Or unless he doesn't get dumped by a lap car or Reagan.
Yep. Okay, we're going to move on to Michael in just a minute. Just want to say Johnny had to go, but he said that his picks are, his winner is going to be Tony Stewart. Driver to stay away from was Matt Kenseth, and his dark horse was either Danica Patrick or Patrick Carpentier. Patrick Carpentier was the dark horse. I'm sorry, I thought I saw that as Patrick and Carpentier. His dark horse is Patrick Carpentier in the 32, so that'll be interesting. All right, Michael, who are your picks?
All right, so we're in Sonoma, and it's a track that's well known for having a lot of weird but yet exciting racing. My dark horse, I would pick Dale Earnhardt Jr. as a dark horse because he usually doesn't do very well at road courses, but he's been running pretty good consistently. And especially over the past few years, he's gotten pretty good finishes. My actual pick to win, however, is really a lock between 2 drivers where it could be, I'm hoping it'd be Tony Stewart because that'd be cool to see. but I'm also thinking that it's going to probably be Kyle Busch, and I can't believe I said that. And my person to stay away from, I really don't know because, I mean, yeah, it's a road course, but I'm pretty sure there are still.
Needs to have structure.
I'm pretty sure some people think that. Well, I guess in a way, I don't really have a pick to stay away from.
Okay. All right, let's move on to Daniel.
She has no real
All right.
responsibility.
You guys are going to be surprised about my picks. My driver to stay away from, Kyle Busch. Here's why. The last three finishes, which was Charlotte, Pocono, and Michigan, he has had engine failures. So keep that in mind. We're at a road course because we could either see gearbox breaking, we could see the engine breaking because of all these mechanical problems. I think Kyle Busch is the driver to stay away from because what could happen if he go out race with another mechanical problem? My dark horse pick would definitely be Dale Earnhardt Jr. because nobody expected Dale Jr. to be fastest in the practice session because of what he's done lately. I know he hasn't got a top 10 finish at Sonoma. Keep that in mind. And his best finish, I believe, was like 11th back in like 2007 or something like that. But I think Dale Jr. is my dark horse. Now, the driver to win this race, you guys mentioned Matt Kenseth, who's only got one top 10. I'm going for Chase Elliott. I think Chase Elliott, with all the road courses that he's done in the Xfinity Series, I think Chase Elliott can finally get that first win and punch his stick in the chase for the championship because he's come close on some of these races, hasn't gotten the job done. I think tomorrow Chase Elliott's going to victory lane.
I add to what Boyle said, and those in Dawsonville could be hearing the siren go off.
Does he dump Ty Dillon for the win again?
All right, Steven, who you got?
Well, mine's gonna be a little long and a little tangent, but my favorite to win is Carl Edwards. Edwards has run well at the road course this career. He's won in Montreal. He's won what's the other? He's won a Walker Series. He's
Bless you.
Bless you. Bless you.
Yeah, he won in Mexico City. He didn't win. He ran well in Mexico City. He's done well at Sonoma in the Cup Series. He just hasn't had the results to show. I mean, he finished 2 years ago. He wrecked last year and had a third, then had a 21st. He's kind of inconsistent. So I think this year he'll maybe win. The dark horse is Harvick. Harvick has never won at a road course. I know he wants to kind of get that chip off his shoulder. He's ran well. He made one start in Montreal, won that race. He finished second in Mexico City. He won one Cup race at Watkins Glen as a road course, and he's definitely looking forward. It's one of the few tracks, Texas, and there's somewhere out in Kentucky he's never won at, so he wants to get it off his list. Now, my favorite, did I say my favorite? The person to stay away is two drivers, Keselowski and Kenseth. Keselowski's good at Watkins Glen. We all know the history with him there. But at Sonoma, his best finish is 9th. He's never ran well at Sonoma. He struggled mightily here. And the other is Kenseth. I know someone mentioned he's had bad luck. But the only bad luck I can remember him having was getting wrecked last year and losing the brakes in the last lap and finishing 30th in 2010. He just never ran well consistent. I think his best finish here is like 5th, 9th, or 11th. I don't even think he's had a top 10 at this track before. So definitely Kenseth is definitely a driver to stay away from this week.
Ready? I'm gonna be going kind of out on a limb with some of my picks here too. The driver that I'm gonna go for to win.
Really, Michael Norman?
I have the power to kick you, son. Okay. Anyway, the kind gesture. Okay. I'm gonna go out with my picks as well here. The guy that I'm gonna go for the win, and I think he's gonna top my list. If he doesn't complete it here at Sonoma, he's gonna be top of the list for me at Watkins Glen as well. Is AJ Allmendinger, because when you think of the fact that AJ Allmendinger has proven himself as a road course ace, this is really, and Watkins Glen, going to be the only opportunity that 47 team has of getting themselves into the chase again. I think that again, to what we were talking about before, yeah, he hasn't shown the speed, but I think he's giving up the speed to gain the handling, to have a better handling race car. And who knows? Maybe we'll see the speed here this afternoon in qualifying. You never know. But AJ Allmendinger is my pick to win. You look at what's been going on in the point standings with him too. Back after I think it was like race 5 at Auto Club, that 47 team was up inside the top 16 in the standings. He's recently slipped out of the top 16. They need a win to get themselves back into contention. I think this is the place to do it. Driver to stay away from. I'm actually going to agree with Voiles on this. I think Kyle Busch is the driver to stay away from. Now, do I think Kyle Busch is going to wreck out early? No. Do I think Kyle Busch is not going to get to the front? No. I think Kyle Busch is going to be a prime contender for the win, but I think he's probably going to race too aggressively, make some kind of mistake, be in the wrong place at the wrong time late in the race, and not be able to close the deal. We saw 2 drivers mess up in turn 10 in the practice session. Ryan Blaney was one, Kyle Busch was the other. That right there says to me that maybe the track conditions are a little bit different than they were last year. Something slightly different, because you don't really see Kyle Busch, especially running by himself, go off a road course racetrack like that. So something there says to me that Kyle Busch is not going to be able to close this deal. My dark horse pick, I look at this one particular team, and much like Allmendinger, this is one of 2 types of racetracks he's got a chance of winning and getting into the chase with the kind of team he's on. A restrictor plate track or this particular track, Sonoma. I'm going with Clint Boyer in the 15 car. You look at last season, yes, he was in a Toyota out of Michael Waltrip Racing, but he ended up...
Didn't he finish 3rd?
He finished 3rd place. This week, he's not had a whole lot of speed, but if you take a look at the past numbers of him at Sonoma, in his last 10 starts, his 10 starts here, he has a win at this racetrack. He's got 6 top 5s, 8 top 10s. He's going to be in the top 10 again, I feel. His average finish since starting at this racetrack is inside the top 10 at 8.6. I think that despite the fact he's in not the best team of H. Scott Motorsports, this is kind of like a Daytona, like a Talladega for Clint Boyer. It's an opportunity for him to be competitive, to be up there at the front of the field, and maybe have a shot at winning this race.
AJ also has a shot to win Daytona next week.
Yeah, that's true.
And this is also the final race on FS1.
That's what I said.
Not going to lie, I was expecting to go step again in the middle of his back.
Well, you know, the thing is about Ken, I'd like to see Ken just try to win both road course races, because him and Kyle Busch are the only 2 guys in the series that are left who can win at every single track in their career.
I mean, Jeff almost did it.
Jeff did. Kevin Harvick can't do it. He never won a Rockingham. Tony Stewart can't do it.
Oh, right.
So, going back to a point I made quite a ways earlier, where we saw McMurray, Kyle Larson, Dale Earnhardt Jr. up there at the top of the speeds. Are these the guys we're looking at to maybe capture the pole, or who do you see as maybe a potential surprise to get the pole position for qualifying this afternoon?
Well, if I put it real quick, since there's 41 cars, Ryan Blaney could technically DNQ this race if he works.
Oh shoot, yeah, that's right.
Well, you were saying about Ryan Blaney?
Wait, doesn't top 35 in points do anything anymore?
No. I don't
know. It's just top 36.
Damn charters. Damn charters.
Well,
isn't he in the top 36?
Let's be honest, though. If something like that situation was going to happen, I think it's pretty obvious that a car like that can run conservative around the racetrack and not really, push it in the corners and still beat out some of those drivers.
Ryan Blaney actually had some time, to drive road courses. Didn't he run at
he ran for America last year, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he drove the 22, didn't he?
Just imagine
the second place finish.
The uproar if he DNQs the race. Just imagine.
Oh my goodness.
Everyone will start. Whoever, if Cody Ware or Dylan Wupton would make the race, they would feel kind of bad, because they know that they stole the position of the fan favorite, and they're like, oh crap.
So if Josh Wise DNQs, it wouldn't be such much a surprise.
Right.
I mean, Josh. I mean, it's mean to say who cares, but they're not really a top team. They're not really. Well, they're not really fighting for anything. There's no top 35 out there that makes the money.
Right. Here's a question I have though. Do we see Ryan Blaney as a contender in this race? I mean, obviously, I want him to make the race because he's battling for Rookie of the Year honors. He's been consistent, but I'm not really sure I see that 21 as a contender for this win. I see him more in this race, just based on how I saw his car handling in practice. I see him more 15th through 20th place finish.
I don't know. Something may happen.
Well, you got to look at it. Ryan's only had 2 road course races in NASCAR. He never ran a road course in the Xfinity Series. His 2 races came in the trucks at Motorsports. And he did win that race though, so he might have a little bit there.
Good point.
In an amazing photo finish with Ramon Quiroga.
He has
Oh,
won.
yeah.
He has finished second at Road America in the Xfinity Series too. May I add?
Ran that race last year. I thought Keselowski was in or something.
Yeah, Blaney ran that race last year.
What the hell?
And also, Chase Elliott also won its Canadian Tire in 2013 by dumping Ty Dillon, so keep that in mind.
I just noticed something too. Talking about Ryan Blaney in practice 2, his fastest lap was only 0.2 faster than Josh Wise.
I don't know. Maybe Josh Wise might slip and he doesn't make the race.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, Ryan Blaney ran a 76.7 and Josh Wise 76.9. So, and that actually beat out a couple of other drivers like Trevor Bayne and Michael Annett. So,
and Ryan Blaney.
Very good point.
In 2013.
Good point.
Another driver that might be considered a little bit of a dark horse that you might want to watch out for, I was noticing in the finishing results from last year, and I wish I could bring it back up again. I believe, I might be wrong, but I believe, actually, you know what? I'm just going to look this up here just to make sure because I think...
So while he does that, Seth does that, how about we talk about retro paint schemes?
You mean throwbacks?
How about we have last year Carl was going with a paint scheme.
Here is my almost 11:10 right now.
How about Kyle Busch's car? And Joe got, it looks pretty cool.
How about that? How ironic that I was running a Tony Stewart paint scheme.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Tony Stewart's going to have an identity crisis.
So is Tony Stewart Murray in the race this week?
What?
Oh yeah, let's talk about that. That whole Tony Stewart, Jamie McMurray incident in practice. Man, oh man, Tony Stewart thinks Jamie McMurray is number 1.
He is number 1, all right. Number 1 race car driver, the number 1 McDonald's Chevrolet.
Except he's sponsored, I think, this week by Cessna.
Okay, whatever. I didn't need for you to ruin my joke.
Watch it be Beechcraft. Watch me be wrong and it be Beechcraft. I'm thinking it's Beechcraft now.
Did you say Beechcraft?
Yeah.
Well, I was reading an article where it says Stewart's not happy running a cup car right now, so...
Yeah, I saw that too.
We're reading that made me sad, but hey, I respect his honesty.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I don't know, like, it's not... I'm not saying it's not fun, but there's not a lot of fun running the Cup Series, all the rules and stuff like that. It's not really a drive. Not really
This is just like YouTube.
I kind of am a little bit surprised of. If it were last year, okay, I could understand that. But with the low downforce package, this kind of reminds me of, the kind of a setup he would have if he were driving in an Indy car. And I thought he liked running in the Indy car.
This new rules package, it kind of reminds me of YouTube.
Why?
Because it's constantly changing for the worse.
Ah. Yeah, there's what I was looking at. Cole Witt finished 22nd last season. And if I remember correctly, he actually
I'll take
has...
a picture of that and I'll say, "You crazy little kitty." You crazy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Remember last year, Di Benedetto got taken out by a truck.
Yeah. Well, after you're done with it, what are we gonna say, Seth? Is the article posted this week that if Trek does not get sponsorship, he's gonna get replaced by Eric Jones.
If
Oh.
who doesn't?
Truex.
Well, the thing is, they want to sign a contract extension, but it's all a matter of finding sponsorship.
I think Bass Pro Shops is under sponsorship from Truex as soon as Stuart Haas makes the transition to Ford.
Well, the thing is that it shows how bad the charter system is because they want to expand the two cars, but no charter, they can't do it. So that if they pretty much don't get sponsorship, Truex is out and Eric Jones is running the 78 next year.
God damn it! See, this is the problem with the new charter system. Truex will not have a ride. He would not.
Okay, so here's the thing that I'm wondering. So GameStop would not, since it's a Joe Gibbs affiliate team, they wouldn't come over to the 87 car?
Well, the thing is they would, but there's no. They don't want to pull a Ryan Blaney if they actually want a charter. And I don't know if there's gonna be any available.
I don't know. I heard some teams might fold after this season. You know, with the consistently bad finishes that I think what was the team that Josh Wise is running in?
That's
The Motorsports Group.
What?
The Motorsports Group.
Yeah, the
Josh,
Motorsports Group. I don't think he has a charter.
He doesn't have a charter.
Oh no! I was thinking about something. It was what was it? H. Scott Motorsports. You know, since Clint Boyer's moving over to the 14, and who's gonna take over the 15?
The H. Scott will probably run it up. But the thing is, with the charter is every 3 years, the bottom three in the charter system get their charters removed. So they're kind of at a loss right now. So it may be if Eric Jones I don't think they want to have Eric Jones wait 2 years in the Xfinity Series to this charter.
No, I agree with you on that. The one thing that I'm seeing as maybe a potential team they could buy a charter from could be the 32 team of Go Fast Racing, just with the fact that that team really is only there to field a car for basically one of 3-4 different drivers each season. They got Jeffrey Earnhardt in there, but he's not been making every start, so therefore he's not really going to be in the hunt at all for Rookie of the Year this season anyway. They've had
Jeb
Burton, Patrick Carpentier, Bobby Labonte. I don't know. It just seems like, to me, that car is kind of taking up space, and I was actually surprised too that they just continually keep getting a sponsorship as well for that car. But I think that could be a team right there where maybe Furturo could approach them and maybe buy the charter.
Another team.
No, go on.
Another team, I don't know if this has been documented, but the 46 car is got their charter leased from the 98 leased their charter to the 46 team, and they paid them $500,000 for that charter. H. Scott did. So maybe Joe Gibbs has more money, and Premium they don't have a lot of money, so maybe Gibbs offers a lot more, and they lease their charter to Gibbs again. And since their performance has been great, they'll just take the charter eventually from the 98 team.
Yeah. Well, here's something funny to point out. You know who's the leader in most laps led currently?
Aaron Truex.
Yep. 818 laps led. Last time I read an article on J-Ski.
You gotta think about you can have the best cars, but you gotta have sponsorship. I mean, the best example I could give is Johnny Benson in 2008. He was the 2008 truck champion, but he had no sponsorship after the season. And he lost his ride with Bill Davis. The whole Bill Davis team shut down after 2008 after winning a championship. So
look at Jeff Burton at Roush Fenway.
Yeah, exactly.
He left after midway through 2004, I think.
Yeah, he had no sponsorship, and he was running decently in that car. I'm trying to think. Who else?
Kurt Busch.
Jeff Burton was running for Arrowhead. Had a good Arrowhead sponsorship for Turner. He was running really well in the Ford.
Arrowhead defaulted.
Oh yeah, that 31. Oh yeah, Jeff Burton in the 31 unsponsored car. Remember back in 2007?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was because AT&T. That was the whole deal. But with Jeb, he was supposed to run the Ford. He probably would have won the championship that year. Turner was running really well that year, but then the team shut down because Arrowhead thing, and now Jeb went to ThorSport, and he did terrible for ThorSport.
You know, Steven, going back to your point about the whole H. Scott Motorsports thing, you were talking about Clint Boyer moving over to Stewart-Haas Racing. Well, Michael Annette's contract is also up with H. Scott Motorsports at the end of this season. So if they don't re-sign him, as you said, the 46 is currently leasing the charter from the 55 team. The 15 team would be a chartered ride. If they just, go down to just a single car race team next year using the 15
That charter can go to the second ride for Furniture Row.
Exactly, yeah.
Also, look at it. What was this? The 46. Now, what was more shocking when I read this was that actually Net's paying more money than 5 Hour Energy for his ride.
Really?
Yeah. So
Wow.
that's the only reason why he's in the car still. And Net's been running terrible all year, but he's paying a lot of money to be in the Cup Series. That's why.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh yeah, this is a topic we haven't covered. Wasn't it a Red Horse or a Thor Sports shop was on fire?
Sports.
It was Thor Sport. Their shop went up in flames, and everything was bad until Kyle Busch Motorsports and Kyle Busch actually donated some truck bodies.
Yep.
Over to them.
Yeah, every team's helping out every truck team is helping out, be it Chevrolet, Ford, or Toyota.
This can put a stop to racism. The story can put a stop to racism.
Goes to show, communities united as one.
Yeah, I'm looking right now, and Truex is also only signed so far with Furniture Row Racing through the end of this year, so...
I mean, with Truex's promising performances, I think he might be signed to an extension.
Yeah, I honestly would be surprised if Truex is a free agent at the end of this year. I really would.
If he is, then I'm
This has been a
lie.
breakout year for him. He's shown that he really seems to like the Toyota. He's got good equipment with Joe Gibbs Racing helping out that team.
Last time he drove a Toyota was 2013.
To the point always with what happened at MWR. David Rudin was signed for 3 years in 2011 with the team, but they cut him for Clint Boyer and 5 Hour Energy, and they killed the 3-year contract. So anything is possible. It's not set in stone.
Maybe because Ruderman didn't win any races after a promising 09 and 2010 year.
Now, okay, so let's kind of flip the pancake here as far as sponsorship. Let's say Eric Jones can't bring sponsorship over to a second ride, and Furniture Row has to move over and sponsor him. Can Truex draw sponsorship over?
Well,
he could.
Well, Truex has Bass Pro. That's what's helping him, because if not,
go on.
And Eric Jones, I know it's safe he doesn't have any sponsors, but Jones has GameStop, Freightliner, Reese's. He's set throughout his career. I'm pretty sure Gibbs can get him a sponsor.
I wouldn't be surprised if maybe NOS Energy might jump back up to a Cup as well.
Keep in mind, Truex also has another sponsorship at hand, the Auto Owners Insurance Company.
Oh yeah, that's
also
true.
Sponsoring that 78.
Yep.
Didn't they bounce up from H. Scott? Weren't they part of H. Scott's operation?
Auto Owners? I don't know.
I could see maybe 54 NOS next year.
I don't know if they'd go with. I don't think they'd go with 54.
I mean, think about Furniture Row's past. They ran 2 cars in the Daytona 500, one race, and it was the 78 and the 87.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the reason why I don't think they would go to the 54 is I'm certain they're really excited to have the help from Toyota Racing Development, from Joe Gibbs Racing, but I think they're going to want to keep their own identity as Furniture Row Racing as well. I don't think they're going to bring on a Joe Gibbs Racing number onto their team.
What I'm really worried about is what if Joe Nemechek decides to make a return to Cup and he takes that 87 number?
No, I don't think that's going to happen.
That's not going to happen.
I think Joe has stepped more into the mentor role for his son.
You think about that. Joe could take the 87 for his son to the Cup Series.
Yeah, that's true.
That is true, but...
have you seen John Nemechek Racing and all that?
Well, have you seen John West Townley lately this year?
Have you seen William Byron?
William Byron is to Xfinity next year, I promise you that.
Well, John's not going to be running for his father's team. I was reading, there's reports that he's going to go to RCR replacing somebody. I think maybe Brendan Gaughan because he's retiring this year.
I could see that happening. Yeah.
Maybe he might.
Retired.
Also,
Didn't Brent?
is
No, sorry.
is that Ty Dillon is also going to be moving up to the Cup Series in a year or two. Where's the charter for him, or is he going to replace Newman or Bernard?
I don't know if Newman's gonna weave that operation.
Yeah, I mean, Newman and Menard are both free agents at the end of this year. You know, depending on whether they don't re-sign one of them. I think they'll probably keep Paul Menard around still because of the sponsorship he's going to bring
Because
in.
of his daddy's money.
Yeah, but Newman, you know, that's going to be interesting to see between Paul Menard, Ryan Newman, which one of them gets, you know, a potential contract extension. Whichever one doesn't, I think that right there is going to be the indication. This is where Ty Dillon's going to be coming up. I also think if Eric Jones does make the jump over to the Cup Series next season, if they're able to get the second ride for Furniture Row Motorsports, I wouldn't be surprised if you see his Xfinity Series team get filled by William Byron.
Oh, definitely.
Oh yeah.
I think future Gibbs will definitely be either will be Bush, Byron, Jones, and Suarez. I think that'll be the four guys at Gibbs in the next 5 years.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
Someone who hasn't been making a lot of noise.
Carl Edwards still there, but I think Hamlin will move on. I think Kenseth will probably move on.
I don't know. Hamlin's been with the operation since 2006.
He has, but he's also
series.
a free agent after this year. I think they'll still re-sign him for a couple of years, but
Kenseth,
I don't
you
see a
know,
long-term contract.
After what happened last year, you know, since Matt Kenseth got that huge fan base after what happened at Martinsville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kenseth's been racing since '98. I mean, he still has a few years left. You gotta think how much does he have left? To be honest.
Yeah.
To be honest, I wouldn't be disappointed if Matt Kenseth in the next few years gets replaced by Eric Jones in the number 20. I mean, he did run the 18 and the 20 as replacements. The best finish that I remember Eric Jones having was at Texas. He finished 12th, I think.
That's pretty good. I mean, he almost won that Kansas race, but he crashed.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have won Kansas because he was right with the top 5.
Yeah. Well, and also when we look at, I talk about Ty, there's also things he can run the 8 car in the Cup Series when he moves up.
You know, I'm looking at another couple of drivers that potentially we could see out of their rides maybe this season, and those two would be possibly Chris Buescher, Landon Castle. I mean, I know Buescher and Castle right now, there is literally nothing on them as far as how long they're going to be with that company. You know, Chris Buescher, yeah, is running for Rookie of the Year honors, but he's more of a Roush Fenway affiliated driver. Landon Castle, you know,
Landon Castle has been producing the numbers.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, when we look at some of these drivers that might be ready to jump from the Xfinity Series up to the Cup Series, you know, that could be a potential team where they could go. Or, you never know, they might be one of the teams where you could end up seeing a charter lease go on for one of those particular rides next year.
What I can see happening, Buescher goes to the Roush team and runs either the 16 or the 99. He's still on their program with Roush, just in the 34 as a placement right now. Landon Castle, I don't know what's going to happen. He might stay there, or who knows. Castle could definitely do better than front row.
Yeah, I agree. You know, I actually thought Chris Buescher was going to be possibly the replacement driver for Greg Biffle, because Biffle, you mentioned how Kenseth's been in a ride for so long. Well, same could be said for Biffle. But Greg Biffle has pretty much stated he's not planning on, you know, retiring yet. So I thought that would be a great fit, Biffle out of the 16 and Buescher into the 16. But right now, that kind of seems to be on hold.
I just remembered something.
Retirement plan.
I just remembered something. Have you ever noticed how most Roush Fenway drivers have actually moved over to like Gibbs for like either one time or like an entire went out there for like an entire like season.
Yeah.
And we have Matt Kenseth, Greg Biffle. I mean, no, not Greg Biffle. Carl Edwards. David Reagan for a couple races.
Well, we didn't move to Joe Gibbs really.
Technically, he was under their camp.
Yeah.
Talking about.
He was driving the 18 for when Kyle was injured.
Yeah, well, Eric. Well, there's no way Eric will leave Gibbs. So I think Gibbs want to have Eric and Suarez definitely. I'm trying to think. Does anybody else run? Oh, Matt Tiff.
Eric is under contract with Toyota.
Oh yeah, Ross Kenseth. Can't forget about Ross.
Ross has done nothing this year. I haven't heard anything in the works for him. But Matt Tiff, I mean, I know he's, but seeing Sam Hornish winning the 18 puts a lot of pressure on him. In my opinion, puts a lot of pressure because I know he's a rookie. So seeing how Hornish that race, he needs to step it up. I can definitely see taking up like Brad Coleman or DeBenedetto like Gibbs just getting released this season.
Well, DeBenedetto's been pretty much down with the 10 team this season.
Oh, and speaking of the Lester Jones, what do you think is going to happen to Brandon Jones? Is he going to stay in Xfinity? Is he going to be demoted to trucks, or is he going to, be called up to Cup for like one race, kind of like Upton and Ware right now?
Well, here's the problem I think for Brandon Jones is the fact that Ty Dillon is next in line for the next Open Richard Childress Racing ride. Depending on, like we said, whether it's going to be Newman, whether it's going to be Menard that are going to be leaving RCR at the end of the season.
Or it could be both.
Well, yeah, that's true. But I'm kind of thinking they're still going to keep Menard around. If they do, Ty Dillon's going to get the vacant spot. But to your point, if they don't sign either one, Brandon Jones, I think, then could also come up to the Cup Series. But the problem is I think there's a bit of a waiting list in the RCR camp, and right now top of the list is Ty Dillon. So Ty Dillon's got to get himself established in a ride in Sprint Cup before Brandon Jones can think about moving up to the Cup Series in an RCR machine.
I don't know. He just needs some more experience in that car. He hasn't been producing the numbers as people would have thought.
Well, to your point is Brandon, sponsorship. Every race he seems to have a different sponsorship trying to help him out. But what I can see definitely happening is if Ty goes to the Cup Series next year, they still have that 95 car. So I can see Brandon filling in for Ty's races and getting that experience next year.
The other thing also that could also happen is they've been saying that they're going to be cutting down on the number of races that Sprint Cup drivers can run in the Xfinity Series, what with the whole thing with Kyle Busch this season, Austin Dillon and all that. Keep in mind that 2-car in the Xfinity Series has been getting some good sponsorship with Austin Dillon. If they maybe either close down the 33 team or if they bring another driver up to the 33 team, they could maybe move Brandon Jones over to the 2-car for next season for Xfinity.
See, there's no way, there'll be no way they're going to cut the... You got
Or we haven't... Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, you got to think from a fan space. Who you want to see rookies like Sixelbo, Kyle Busch, Dale Jr.'s in the race. You want to go out and see it. But if you just have no offense, Ty Dillon and Brandon Jones, are you really going to go out and watch that race? I don't really think so.
Okay. Or there's another distinct possibility. What if Brandon Jones decides to leave RCR entirely? I mean, you can see in the ARCA series, he's actually driving a Toyota, sharing the ride with Frank Kimmel.
Wait, what?
Yeah, he's actually sharing the 25 car.
Well, that was last year. This year was running.
That was last year.
I'm pretty sure he's still doing it.
Okay, here's my take on that. Brandon Jones, this season, in Xfinity, has the longest list of sponsors this season. Menards, Nextier, Rollin, Thunder Coal, AAA Mid-Atlantic, EasyGo, Texas Rangers, Check Into Cash, Chevrolet Military Discount, Okuma, Barrett Jackson, Cosmetic Gasket, Nextier, Jedwin / Menards. So, with all that sponsorship coming in, I think that moving over to another team is not in the cards for him, or else he's going to probably have a little bit of difficulty finding sponsorship. Sponsorship has definitely come to him at RCR and Xfinity. I think he'd be foolish to leave that.
Definitely.
Mhm.
You know,
Yep.
I really.
And I was just looking too. We're talking about RCR. We talked about Joe Gibbs and Furniture Row. How about Chip Ganassi
Penske.
Racing? You've got the potential that Jamie McMurray might not get re-signed. His contract is up at the end of this season, and you got a couple of drivers down in Xfinity that might be able to make the jump up. Maybe Justin Marks, maybe Brendan Poole.
No, Justin Marks, no way in hell Justin Marks is going to. I can see Brendan Poole, but no way. The thing with Marks is he's only in that ride because Larson doesn't want to drive, and he co-owns the team, and he has sponsorship. If he didn't co-own the team or have sponsorship, there's no way he'd be in that ride, Brendan.
Okay, that's a good point. But Brendan Poole, we know he would probably bring sponsorship with him with DC Solar up to the Cup Series.
Definitely see him either. Because the thing with McMurray is, don't get me wrong, McMurray's a good driver, but I was reading, McMurray doesn't push the car. He gets what the car can get, so that's why he finishes mid-pack. So Brendan Poole's a young guy. He's going to push the car. And
He didn't always used to do that. I mean, remember 2010?
Well, that was 6 years ago. You got to talk about now from a performance standpoint.
Well, lately he hasn't been doing anything like recently. So, yeah, I can see where you were coming with this, but remember back in the, well, I wouldn't say back in the day, but a while back,
So
he was a little close to winning.
He's been real consistent this season. Got to give the guy credit on that. He's been in the top 10, top 15 just about every single time that the race finishes. And right at the moment, he would be situated as one of the 16 drivers that would be in the chase for the championship. Is this kind of maybe a last hurrah for Jamie McMurray with that team?
Well, McMurray had his route. He had a good times, but I think like some drivers, his career is dwindling down. I don't really see it as the last hurrah.
The guy did won a Daytona 500, a Brickyard, and an All-Star race. I could see him probably winding down because he basically has the Holy Trinity at this point. He's won he didn't win them all in the same season, but you have to think about it.
Well, you got.
He has a Daytona 500. He has a Brickyard, and he now has an All-Star race down under his belt.
He also has a summer Daytona race as well.
You got to think about that.
Fall's Talladega race as well.
Yeah, well, you got to think about that 2010 season was he won all the big races. I give him that, but he did nothing else besides the big races. He finished well in the Coke 600. He won the 500. He won Indy. Finished second in Charlotte. Second at Bristol.
Well, he won Charlotte.
He did win Charlotte.
Wasn't the All-Star race, or was that? Did he actually win? Oh yeah,
The Bank of America. He won the Bank of America 500, I think.
Yeah, Bank of America. That's right. It was the fall race.
100. He won the big races that year. He ran well, but every other race, I remember he crashed at Pocono that year, and he didn't run well, and that's why he missed the chase that year.
Well, yeah. That kind of happens. And if you might want to think about it, what if this was if they decided to I don't know. I actually wouldn't know what they would decide to do because sometimes NASCAR can be a little weird or dumb. So,
pretty much.
And going back to the whole thing about him being the Daytona 500 winner and Brickyard 400 winner and all that, that was 2010. That was 6 years ago.
And he did win an All-Star race. That was recent.
Well, you gotta think.
Not really recent. That was 2014.
14. It was 2 years ago. It's kind of still recent.
Oh, it was 2 years ago.
Trevor Bang won the 2011 Daytona 500. It must make him a great driver.
Yeah, look at him right now. He actually got two top fives this season, I think.
Yeah, well, Bristol, a lot of teams ran really well that race.
Matt DiBenedetto and Lightning Castle. There. I just gave a thing.
Well, I would love to see Lightning Castle go back to Hendrick. That would be great to see.
I don't know. He didn't do great in Hendrick back in 2008.
Did win the Rookie of the Year in the series.
Yeah, but the races that I saw went in Castle Run, he usually either finished back in the top, 15 or crashed.
Or he got punched in the face by Bobby Hamilton Jr.
Oh, yeah. Or got... No, wait, that was someone else. I think it was, I think I was referring to Max Pappas, but I forgot who he slapped.
Billy Johnson.
Yeah, he slapped Billy Johnson.
Well,
And then Max Pappas got slapped by Mike Steen's significant other.
Oh.
You know, kind of interesting. I was just looking here. I have not been able to find the. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, there it is. Yeah, All-Star Race 2014. But also in 2014, McMurray had the pole position for the Toyota Save Mart 350.
Oh, yeah, we forgot about that.
So you know, maybe I'm not quite so surprised anymore to be seeing him up at the top of the speed charts this week.
Oh, and we forgot to mention about one other team, Penske. Team Penske right now. They both have the team combined has three wins actually.
Yep. Right now, and I'm looking right now. Keselowski signed through 2017, Logano through 2018. So,
well, we also got to look at their 22 Xfinity program is struggling mightily. They have not shown the dominance at all.
True.
Their discount tire bail.
Oh. What about their Oh my God. What about Brad Keselowski's truck program right now? They have Daniel Hemrick.
I mean, the they have led laps, but they cannot seal the deal. They've been running mightily terrible. So Ford's going down the pooper.
Not really. Both of their drivers are locked in the chase, and which other Ford is in the top 16 aside from Keselowski, Logano, and I think it was someone else.
Well, we're talking about the truck series. The Cup Series, Penske's the best Ford in the Cup Series, hands down. But in the truck series, you got to think about, yes, both the drivers locked in, but how many...
We have Kyle Busch Motorsports, and what was this other team that was in trucks with that drives Chevys?
GMS Racing.
You also got to look at how many guys are running full time in the truck series. You got to think about it. There's only
very few
eligible for the Xfinity Chase.
We have Brandon Jones, who I think has not Brandon Jones, Eric Jones, who has a
truck series title.
Well,
aside from the truck series title, he's not in trucks. I'm talking about Xfinity Chase.
If next week at Daytona, if Mike, I'm dead serious, if he wins the race, he makes the chase.
Wait, what? I didn't actually catch that. Your audio was glitching a little.
I said, and think about this. If Mike Harmon wins next week, he's in the chase.
Right.
Yep.
When was Mike Harmon running full time?
There's 20 full-time Xfinity drivers, the full deal, and that makes him chase eligible. Harmon is 28th in points, so if he wins, he's in the big show.
That's right.
Gotta stay in the top 30 though.
Well, he is in the top 30.
He's 28th.
Yep. Another interesting thing I was thinking too is it just seems like the one team that really it's kind of a logjam as far as their talent and being able to move them up. Whether from Truck Series to Xfinity or Xfinity up to Cup is Joe Gibbs Racing because with all the talent that they've got right now, you've got William Byron. They've got to find a spot for him up in Xfinity. Then to make room there, they've got to find a way to get Eric Jones up to the Cup Series. Daniel Suarez, I think, will stay maybe another year or two down Xfinity, but then they're in time probably going to have to move him up. It just seems like it's a bit of a logjam right now for Joe Gibbs Racing, being able to try and find spots up in the Cup Series to be able to continue to move their talent up the ladder.
Definitely. I mean, there's only, I think, 17 or 18 eligible for the Truck Championship, but then there's lots of...
Eight spots for the chase for the trucks.
I mean, I don't want to put anybody out to pasture. I mean, believe me, I don't. But it looks like the drivers right now that really, after either this season or next season, that should not be racing in Sprint Cup anymore, that should retire. We got Tony Stewart already leaving. He would have been on that list if he wasn't retiring this season. Potentially Matt Kenseth and Greg Biffle.
See,
Matt Kenseth and Greg Biffle, I feel like are the most like knowledgeable. Like they're the most like a realistic person, like the most realistic character in NASCAR.
Right, I
They're-
agree with you on that, but you'll take a look at the drivers that are retiring right now. Jeff Gordon already retired. Tony Stewart's going to be retiring. That's the same kind of somewhat generation that Greg Biffle, Matt Kenseth were part of.
You got to look at Greg Biffle.
Dale was a part of that generation too.
Greg Biffle was didn't he make his debut in 2002?
I think they were 2002, 2003, both Kenseth and Biffle.
No, Kenseth was in 2000, I think.
He made his first start in '98 for Bill Elliott. Greg Biffle.
Well, what was his first start in the Cup?
Yeah, he first started with for Bill Elliott. In '02, Biffle ran for Petty Enterprises, Andy Petrie, and Roush that year. But anyways, Biffle at the time in '05, he won a lot of races. After 2013, downhill. He's too and terrible. He's not going to go out on top like he wants to. The see with Kenseth, Kenseth's on top right now. He's won a race this year. He's done well last year. He's doing really well. So does he want to go out like going on top or go out as a washed-up veteran? It's the tough decision once you want to choose.
It's basically now I'm calling it the Greg Biffle treatment.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it. Who retired? Tony Stewart's only running this year because NASCAR begged him to run this year because they didn't want two of their top stars retiring. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Stewart, he's running well, but I'm kind of questioning why he's running well because he did terrible the last 2 years. I understand everything that's happened, but you just can't go by running 7th to 5th. I think they're giving him a lot better equipment now. It's not showing, so he might be.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. Let's throw in 4 drivers that really, remember they were back with the Gillette Young Guns back in 2003 and all that. We mentioned
Kurt
Biffle,
Busch.
we mentioned Kenseth. Throw Kurt Busch into the mix. You can also throw in possibly Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Jimmy Johnson. Now, Johnson and Jr. are only basically contractually signed through 2017. Is 2017 going to be the mass exodus of drivers, the older generation retiring and then the younger talent coming up?
There's no way they're going to let Jimmy Johnson go out of Hendrick.
Well, no, I don't think they're going to let Jimmy Johnson go out of Hendrick. I think they're going to probably still... He's already under a lifetime contract like Jeff Gordon. I think they're going to keep him around, but I don't think they're necessarily going to keep him around for a long, long time in the driver role.
Jimmy retires. Janelle's going to retire.
Well, here's what I think. Over the course of the next couple of years, 2018, I feel like Greg Biffle's gonna fall out of the picture. 2019, Matt Kenseth might fall out. Like he's getting a little too old. Sure, he's been running great, running in that number 20 car. In his freshman season in the number 20 in 2013, he was in a point of winning the championship if it hadn't been for Jimmy Johnson making the last lap pass. Pass for him to win. 2014, he actually made it into the chase, but got eliminated after round 3. 2015, he made it into the chase again, got eliminated after a horrible round 2, took out Joey Logano, which was my favorite moment in 2015.
Best moment of the year.
Well, you see, the thing is, not to cut you off, I know people are getting older, Biffle with age is not got. And Mark Martin, there's some guy, Morgan Shepherd even. At some point they were running really good at their age. I think Mark was 51 in 09 when he was running really well.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me tell you something. You know who else ran well? You know what was Biffle's breakout season? He made it into the chase with a lot of with a couple of wins. It was 2008.
See,
he was a dominating force back in 2008.
He wasn't so bad in 2005, 2006 either.
No, but
yeah.
08 is that was Edwards' year with Ed. We don't really talk about
it. Was
Edwards outshone everybody else.
It was technically the Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson, and Carl Edwards show.
Mm-hmm.
At that point.
Actually, I would go one further and say it was just Edwards and Johnson.
No, because Kyle Busch actually held on to points lead after I think it was the second race. He held to that points lead for 24 races. He got a lot of wins. He held on to that points lead for a couple of races. So, that's great.
You know what was interesting too is when I was talking about how Joe Gibbs Racing has to make room for all this talent. You look at the other side of the spectrum. You've got Hendrick Motorsports. Really, the golden boy that they were moving up to the Cup Series as quickly as possible was Chase Elliott. There's really nobody else down there right now that they have available to be bringing up to the Cup Series anytime soon. I mean, Alex Bowman, maybe, but he's already had a taste of Cup Series action. So there's really nobody as far as really a young gun down there in Xfinity
Technically,
that they can look at and say, okay, let's make some future plans and bring this guy up for when somebody either steps away or retires.
And they can't rely on Justin Allgaier at this point. He has also already had a taste of a competition.
Yeah, Allgaier. I don't think you're going to see Sadler come back up to the Cup Series level. He's going to remain, I think, in Xfinity for the remainder of the year. I don't really think you're going to see. I know that
Josh Berry.
I know Regan Smith had affiliations with Junior Motorsports, but with him running with Tommy Baldwin Racing, I don't think you'll see him jump over to a big Cup team like Hendrick Motorsports.
And then there's this one guy.
Motorsports in Bristol, if I remember correctly.
The other guy you throw. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. There's this one guy who actually is under the Hendrick program. It's Josh Berry, I think his name is. He's actually running in one race for the Sun Energy sponsorship.
Yeah,
and then there's Kenny Hobble. He jumped over from Gibbs to what's it called? Junior Motorsports.
Well, the other guy I think is the wild card in this. I know everyone knows the guy Ben Kennedy. Now the thing with
Ben
has NASCAR money that's helping him through his ride because he's the great grandson of Brian France or something. And so that NASCAR money paid for it. It also gave enough money to him run.
I'm trying to make a chick on the boys because girls are falling apart.
What?
Huh? I'm losing my mind, okay?
Wait, who are we talking?
I don't know.
I don't know.
He could land with the top ride because NASCAR could help.
Yeah, that is a good point because Ben Kennedy's been let's see. Oh, I saw him in Xfinity. What ride was he running in Xfinity last week?
Who, Ben?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, this is one other guy we haven't talked about. Cole Custer.
Oh, Cole. I think Cole Custer will in the near future.
Yeah, but the question with that is Cole Custer going to be in the Hendrick stable or is he going to be in the stable?
He might be in the Hendrick stable because he's been running in the Junior Motorsports affiliate. Well, he ran the 5 Junior Motorsports car back in I think it was Richmond.
To that point, I can see him
for a few races too.
What?
I can see. Oh, back to the point. I can see him running for Stuart Haas because he has the Haas sponsorship. It wouldn't make sense to see a Haas car with Hendrick and Stuart Haas.
I don't know. They might be.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, that's just a big question there. I mean, yeah, they're affiliated with Hendrick Motorsports, but the Haas sponsorship is over with Stuart Haas Racing.
Another guy I think who's not moved to the series yet, but David Gillen and Todd Gillen.
Oh, we almost forgot about this guy.
That's possible.
Have you seen his dominance in the K&N series?
Not a tear.
Yeah.
Yeah, kids on.
One other guy that I also think might be ready to come up to the Sprint Cup level, but I have no idea where they'd find a spot for him, would be Blake Cook.
I
have another guy.
Well, the thing is, that guy who has the team is like a freaking billionaire or something. He literally bought Ty Dillon's finished Super Speedway car for $7 million, and RCR built a new one. So he definitely has to go up to the Cup Series.
And I also have another card to play on the table. What about this kid? What's his face?
Ellie?
He was part of the Hendrick stable, I think it was.
Well, the other team maybe I could see coming back. If any of you, if anybody knows what, anybody remember what the Rainer guys were?
Who?
Who?
The Rainer team. The Rainer team. The Rainer team filled Davey Allison cars in the 80s. His father and his is coming in. They run a king.
Oh yeah, I just remembered my other card to play on the table. What about Brandon McReynolds?
No, he's done. Back to the thing with Laner. Have a lot of money in the Kane and Arca series.
Dude, your audio is lagging. Audio is glitching.
Your audio is glitching.
Well, it's not really glitching. I think he's not facing his microphone.
That could be the issue. Yo, Steven.
Kyle Benjamin or
Someone else who hasn't made a lot of noise, who has made a lot of noise recently, but hasn't been able to find any decent finishes. Well, not really decent finishes. It just hasn't been his year at this point. Rico Abreu. I mean, for the guy who has potential, he just hasn't haven't found it with ThorSport. Cameron Haley. There's another one. Cameron Haley.
Another guy I could think maybe is the Arco points leader, Chase Briscoe, can sign maybe a Penske deal or something.
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah.
Austin Wayne Self. I heard he was under the Penske belt. Austin Wayne Self.
I think Wayne Self has a little bit more learning to do before he jumps up there.
Yeah, that is true.
Rhodes maybe running a 100 car one day.
What about somebody like Tyler Reddick? Where would we see him possibly go if he went up to the Cup level? Penske.
He's under Brad Keselowski Racing. That team is like under like a Penske affiliate, basically.
To be honest, away from the series, like losing his ride is fading away. I don't see him moving up.
Then there's Daniel Hemrick.
But another thing I could see happening is the GMS team, because I heard they're Spencer next year, because they're in the one day Spencer up running like the 20 something.
Oh yeah, Spencer Gallagher.
They're definitely the plan to go up.
Well, anyway, we're gonna have to end this episode off here because I got sign-ups in about 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, the sign-ups.
But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this episode of NASCAR Talk. We will be back next week, as far as I'm aware. I don't think I have an auction scheduled next week, so as far as I'm aware, we will be back next week. We'll give you the recap from Sonoma and look forward to the summer night race at Daytona. So that'll be an interesting thing to cover. Once again,
games there.
Oh yeah. All right, so I want to thank JT, Angel, Steven for sticking it out here for this episode. Guys, thanks for joining me.
No problem.
Also, I want to thank Charles Belding, Johnny Gardner, Michael Norman, Daniel Voiles. They weren't able to stay for the end, but thanks to those guys for showing up for this episode as well. If you guys want to join us for a future episode, I normally post the link to the Google Hangout as soon as it goes up in the NSCRA Racing and Gaming Facebook channel. So anybody that wants to join is able to join, and all you basically have to do is just get your Google account set up and all that, and you're able to join and be a part of the action. So, anything you guys want to say before I end off this week's episode?
Hopefully no more jackrabbits get rest in peace.
Hopefully.
Hey, there's a possibility that 3 of us may not even show up next week. We may die at Talladega.
Well, I'm not running.
Oh, you're not running, Steven?
I have important things to say.
All right, I'll call people for you then, and you're running.
Yeah, there is actually possible that Steph and I might not show up at Dega next week.
I have one thing to say before I go.
What's that?
The jackrabbits will take over the earth.
Yes, they will. Kyle Busch, you
One
don't know
day.
what you've done.
One day.
But what if there was a
No, you know what's gonna happen? You know how M&M's has come out with like chili nut, honey nut, and coffee nut? We're gonna have rabbit nut M&M's on the market very soon.
Ew. Seth, that's creepy.
All right, well, thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week on NASCAR Talk. Till then, see you later.
Buy some Coca-Cola.